the camera fades in on a barren savannah. A handful of upright apes pick through the leftovers of a predator's feast. They ignore the lean strips of muscle. Instead, they heft rocks to smash open the long bones, licking the rich, creamy marrow inside. Long before fire and flint, this simple act may have changed the course of human evolution. Our distant ancestors lived in a world where calories were scarce and brains were hungry. The human brain consumes roughly 1/5 of all the body's energy at rest, twice that of other primates. Yet early apes were awkward hunters. How did they power a growing organ? The answer lies not in meat, but in fat. That simple choice to prise open bones for energy-dense lipids may be why you and I can contemplate these questions today. But why did later generations come to fear fat so fiercely? Fat has become a four-letter word in modern health discourse. In the 20th century, we were told to banish it from our plates, to replace butter and lard with margarine and refined oils. Yet our biological history tells a different story. Fat is not just a source of calories, it's a builder and a messenger. Lipids form the cell membranes that hold every cell together and control what passes in and out. They provide a major energy reserve and help us absorb fat-soluble vitamins. Triglycerides store energy, steroid hormones send signals, bile salts digest our meals, and phospholipids act as gatekeepers in cell membranes. Without fat, we couldn't build nerve sheaths, clot our blood, or move our muscles. Our ancestors intuitively recognized this. They sought fat wherever they could find it: marrow, brains, organ meat, nuts, and oily fish. This appetite for lipids may have driven the development of tools: a rock to smash a bone, a scraper to gather grease. Over millennia, that hunger shaped brain size, behavior, and even culture. But the story doesn't end with early Homo. Fast forward to Ice Age Europe. Archaeologists have unearthed a remarkable site near Neumarkt Nord in Germany, a fat factory run by Neanderthals. Roughly 125,000 years ago, these cousins gathered bones from at least 172 animals: foxes, horses, big cats, and even rhinoceroses, and smashed and boiled them to extract grease. Bones were broken where fat was richest and heated for hours, producing portable cakes of high-calorie fuel. This labor-intensive process suggests a deep understanding of nutrition. Co-author Jeff Smith notes that Neanderthals were master planners who squeezed every last calorie from their environment. Why was grease worth the trouble? Because surviving on lean meat alone can lead to protein poisoning. The condition nicknamed rabbit starvation occurs when you eat too much protein and too little fat. Early Arctic explorers who tried living on rabbit meat described severe nausea, diarrhea, and death. Ancient hunter-gatherers considered muscle meat dog's food. They knew instinctively that fat was vital. Imagine risking your life against a saber-toothed cat, not for steak, but for bone grease. What did our ancestors know that we've forgotten? The quest for fat didn't end with Neanderthals. Throughout prehistory and into the agricultural era, people prized fatty foods. Inuit diets relied on blubber and fish oil. Central Asians fermented mare's milk. Pastoralists treasured butter and ghee. In Europe, before industrialization, cooks saved bacon drippings to fry vegetables, rendered lard for pastries, and simmered bones to make stocks rich in marrow. These fats carried not just calories, but flavor and fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. Without them, night blindness, rickets, and bleeding disorders were common. Then, in the early 20th century, a revolution occurred. A process called hydrogenation turned liquid vegetable oils into solid spreads. Advertised as a modern, clean alternative to animal fats, margarine and shortening flooded the market. But hydrogenation created trans fats, unnatural molecules that raise harmful LDL cholesterol, lower protective HDL, drive inflammation, and increase the risk of heart disease and diabetes. By the mid-1900s, Partially hydrogenated oils appeared in cookies, pastries, and fast food fries. We were told to swap butter for margarine, yet we unknowingly embraced an industrial fat that had no safe level of consumption. How did a society that evolved by craving fat become convinced that this vital nutrient was poison? Part of the answer lies in misunderstanding. In the 1950s, a growing concern over rising heart disease rates led scientists to examine dietary fat. Saturated fats found in meat, butter, and dairy were lumped together with trans fats. Both raise LDL cholesterol, but saturated fats had been staples in traditional diets for millennia. A closer look reveals nuance. Saturated fats can drive up total cholesterol, so many health experts recommend limiting them to under 10% of calories. Yet replacing saturated fat with refined carbohydrates may do more harm than good. Recent meta-analyses show that swapping saturated fats for polyunsaturated fats like those in fish, nuts, and seeds can reduce heart disease risk. Meanwhile, trans fats were outright harmful and have now been banned in many countries. Unfortunately, the public message often oversimplified. Fat is bad. Food companies responded by creating low-fat products loaded with sugar and starch. Obesity and metabolic diseases climbed. We threw out the baby the ancient lipids that nourished our ancestors and kept the bathwater of processed carbohydrates. In this sense, our demonization of fat reflects a historical amnesia. If removing fat didn't make us healthier, what would our ancestors tell us about rebuilding a resilient diet? Modern research is vindicating some of that ancestral wisdom. Scientists now distinguish between harmful and healthful fats, monounsaturated fats, abundant in olive oil, avocados and nuts, and polyunsaturated fats, including omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, play crucial roles in the body. Omega-3s, found in cold water fish like salmon and sardines, support brain structure and function. A 2022 study of more than 2,100 midlife volunteers found that participants with higher omega-3 levels had larger hippocampal volumes and better abstract reasoning. Simply having some omega-3s in the blood correlated with better brain health. Those with the lowest intake fared worst. Researchers speculate that omega-3s stabilize neuronal membranes and reduce inflammation. This resonates with our evolutionary past. Early humans who consumed fish, shellfish, and algae gained access to DHA and EPA, essential fatty acids that our bodies can't make. The ability to exploit riverine and coastal resources may have further fueled brain development. Conversely, modern diets skewed heavily toward omega-6 from processed seed oils can promote inflammation when not balanced with omega-3s. Balance, not abstinence, is key. So if fat is both villain and hero, how do we decide which types deserve a place on our plates? But evidence from the Mediterranean region offers a compelling counter-narrative to the fat phobia of the 20th century. While the West was pouring fat-free salad dressing and gobbling low-fat cookies, people along the sunny coasts of Italy, Greece, and Spain continued to drizzle golden olive oil over their meals, snack on almonds and walnuts, and savor oily fish. These diets, inherently high in fat, were associated with some of the lowest rates of cardiovascular disease in the world. Intrigued by this paradox, researchers launched the PREDIM study, a landmark trial that recruited thousands of older adults with high cardiovascular risk and randomly assigned them to a traditional Mediterranean diet supplemented with extra virgin olive oil. A Mediterranean diet supplemented with nuts, or a low-fat diet. Participants were encouraged to eat until they were satisfied, but to favor the high-fat foods typical of their culture. After 5 years, the high-fat groups experienced significantly fewer heart attacks, strokes, and deaths from cardiovascular causes than the low-fat group. Their HDL cholesterol and blood pressure improved, inflammatory markers plummeted, and measures of cognition sharpened. The study underscored that the quality of fat, unrefined oils, nuts, and seeds matters more than the quantity. Other trials have probed how Mediterranean patterns affect brain aging. A 2024 Harvard-led study compared a traditional Mediterranean diet with a green Mediterranean diet enriched with green tea and the aquatic plant duckweed. Participants followed the diets for 18 months while researchers measured their blood glucose and scanned their brains. Compared with a low-calorie control group, both Mediterranean diets slowed shrinkage in brain regions tied to cognitive function and motor control. The greatest benefits were seen among those who drank several cups of green tea daily and consumed duckweed shakes, suggesting that bioactive compounds and steady blood sugar play a role. Such findings reinforce that fats can be neuroprotective when they're part of a diverse, plant-rich pattern, rather than isolated or highly processed. If a high-fat diet can protect the heart and brain, are we ready to revisit the Mediterranean paradox? Here we reach the turning point. The lesson from archaeology, biochemistry, and epidemiology converges. Fat is indispensable, but quality and context matter. The fats our ancestors craved were whole and unprocessed: tallow from grass-fed cattle, marrow from wild game, ghee simmered from milk, olive oil pressed from ripe fruit, fish oils teeming with omega-3s. These lipids came packaged with fat-soluble vitamins, antioxidants, and a balance of fatty acids. They were stored in stable forms that resisted oxidation. The industrial fats introduced in the last century, partially hydrogenated oils and heavily refined seed oils heated repeatedly at high temperatures, are something entirely different. Trans fats are now banned, but many seed oils remain prevalent. Although vegetable oils provide polyunsaturated fats, their high omega-6 content can become problematic when consumed in excess without sufficient omega-3s. Moreover, repeated heating during frying generates oxidation products. Choosing fats wisely means returning to traditional sources and varying them: butter or ghee for sautéing, olive oil for dressings, nuts and seeds for snacks, fish several times a week. It also means pairing fats with fiber-rich vegetables and whole grains rather than refined sugars. Another insight emerges when we examine our own memories. Many older viewers grew up in households where nothing was wasted. Chicken fat, schmaltz, was saved for matzo ball soup. Lard was rendered from hogs in rural kitchens. Cod liver oil was swallowed despite its taste because elders believed it promoted health. These practices were not quaint relics, but adaptations to a world that prized nutrient density. Today, we can blend ancestral practices with modern knowledge. If you enjoy dairy, choose full-fat yogurt or cheese in moderation. The fat helps absorb calcium and vitamins. Use bone broths to extract collagen and minerals, just as your grandparents did. Incorporate fatty fish like mackerel or sardines for omega-3s, and complement them with leafy greens rich in antioxidants. Avoid ultra-processed snacks engineered to override satiety signals. Understand that satiety often comes from the combination of fat, protein, and fiber, not from sugar or starch. And be skeptical of one-size-fits-all dietary dogmas. Your individual needs may differ depending on genetics, activity level, and health status. Listening to your body is as important as listening to science. What does returning to ancient lipids look like in a modern kitchen? It's more than nostalgia. It's a strategy for vitality. As we move into the implications of this story, consider the role of fat in aging. Cognitive decline and neurodegenerative diseases are major concerns for a mature audience. Maintaining healthy lipid levels is one modifiable factor. High-density lipoprotein, HDL particles, carry cholesterol away from arteries, reduce inflammation, and assist in vitamin transport. Low-density lipoprotein, LDL, can accumulate when diets are dominated by trans fats or when metabolism is disturbed. A balanced diet rich in monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats can improve lipid profiles. Omega-3s may preserve hippocampal volume and support abstract reasoning. But remember, more isn't always better. Consuming fat without regard to total energy can still lead to weight gain. Likewise, extreme low-fat diets can disrupt hormone production and fat-soluble vitamin absorption. The key is harmony, integrating high-quality fats into a varied diet, moderating calorie intake, and staying physically active. Consulting with a healthcare provider can help tailor fat intake to individual cardiovascular risk. The search for longevity has led scientists to study communities known as blue zones places, like Okinawa in Japan, Sardinia in Italy, Nicoya in Costa Rica, Icaria in Greece, and Loma Linda in California, where people routinely live past 100. Their diets are predominantly plant-based, rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds, with only small amounts of fish or lean meat. Crucially, these populations embrace healthy fats. Extra virgin olive oil, nuts, and seeds provide monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, while saturated and trans fats are minimized. Portion sizes are modest, added sugars are low, and meals are often shared in a social setting. Physical activity is built into daily life through gardening, walking, and manual tasks. In other words, Blue Zone residents live out the principles we have been exploring. They seek out quality fats within the context of a plant-rich diet. They move their bodies, and they savor food with community. The result is not only a longer lifespan, but more years lived free of chronic disease. What can these centenarian communities teach us about using fat as a tool for longevity? Beyond physiology, there is a cultural dimension to reclaiming ancestral lipids. Food is memory, identity, and connection. When we render lard or simmer bones, we participate in rituals passed down through generations. We honor the resourcefulness of ancestors who understood the value of every part of an animal. We also push back against a food industry that prioritizes shelf life and profits over nutrient density. Embracing traditional fats doesn't mean rejecting modern science. It means combining heritage with evidence, choosing fats with beneficial profiles, balancing fatty acids, and being mindful of how we prepare and store them. It also means acknowledging that our relationship with fat has been shaped by marketing, politics, and incomplete science. By telling stories about Neanderthals boiling bones and early humans cracking marrow, we remind ourselves that the craving for fat is ancient and adaptive, not sinful or shameful. In reclaiming these traditions, we're not just feeding our bodies, we're nourishing our history and our future. There is another dimension to the story of fat that often goes unnoticed. Vitamins A, D, E, and K are fat-soluble. They dissolve in lipids, are absorbed in the small intestine along with dietary fat, and are stored in the liver and adipose tissue. Vitamin A supports vision, skin health, and immunity. Vitamin D, made when sunlight strikes our skin and found in foods like cod liver oil, trout, and salmon, is essential for bone strength and immune function. Vitamin E acts as an antioxidant, and vitamin K is necessary for blood clotting. Without consuming some fat, our bodies cannot absorb these micronutrients effectively. Dr. Matthew Goldman of the Cleveland Clinic notes that layering vitamin-rich foods with healthy fats such as avocados, olive oil, seeds, and nuts provides the most nutritional bang for your buck. He cautions, however, that because fat-soluble vitamins are stored in the body, excessive supplementations can lead to toxicity. The safest strategy is to obtain these vitamins from whole foods in the context of a balanced diet. Our ancestors did this without labels. Liver supplied vitamin A, oily fish delivered vitamin D, seeds and greens provided vitamin E, and fermented foods like natto offered vitamin K. When we demonized fat and stripped it from our meals, we inadvertently compromised our ability to absorb these essential nutrients. Reintroducing quality fats restores this vital link between diet and micronutrient absorption. Let's conclude our journey. We began with a startling image: awkward apes smashing bones on an African plain. We traced the thread through Neanderthal fat factories, through kitchens fragrant with lard and ghee, through the rise and fall of industrial trans fats, to contemporary science that affirms the importance of omega-3s and the nuanced role of saturated fats. The central insight is simple yet profound. Fat is a fundamental nutrient that shaped our evolution and still underpins our vitality. Rather than fearing it, we must respect it, discriminating between types, balancing sources, and honoring the foods and practices that sustained those who came before us. So the next time you skim the fat off a broth or reach for a bottle of olive oil, remember that you are participating in a timeless conversation between biology, culture, and survival. The fat your ancestors craved might just be the key to unlocking your own vitality.